Scotland is a wonderful place to watch wildlife. Although the wildlife more often seen by visitors is the more common species, like red deer and birds. Grey seals were once almost hunted to extinction for their fur. These days, large numbers can be seen hauled out on sandbars. Sea eagles are now quite common and make spectacular viewing. But they were hunted to extinction in the last century and reintroduced back in the 1970s. The latest animal to be reintroduced is the European beaver. Little patience is needed if you want to stand any chance of watching them in the early mornings or evenings. Otters can quite easily be seen swimming in the sea lochs in the early mornings. Otters belong to the weasel family, which includes stoats and badgers. The most elusive member of the weasel family is the Pine Marten, and few people ever get to see one. John Mercer owns the Glenloy Wildlife Lodge, and he is lucky enough to have several wild pine martens visit his garden every day. These animals come up close to the windows of the house, allowing for easy viewing.
So pine martens are a particularly attractive species of mammal, one of our top predators, and they're particularly attractive to visitors because they're very rare in a British context. This is kind of Pine Marten central throughout the Great Glen, and it's largely because Pine Martens were able to survive here during the years of persecution, when everything with tooth and claw was heavily culled by gamekeepers. So this area of the Highlands was one of the refuges where Pine Marten survived, partly as a consequence of some of the dense oak woods up and down the Great Glen. And from then Pine Martens have been able to recover, and now we think probably there's perhaps some 8,000 Pine Martens in Scotland, and it's very nice to see that they are a recovering species. Pine Martens are recovering significantly in numbers in Scotland, particularly starting from a stronghold in the Great Glen area, but they're now right down into the Scottish-English borders, and they've been reintroduced into several other places, and indeed there's a possibility that they're now repopulating some of their old haunts. If you look at an old distribution map, certainly when I was a boy, Pine Martens were thought to be in the sort of the Welsh mountains in the Lake District, and a small residual population in the North York Moors. And indeed we're starting to see Pine Martens being re-established in those areas, as well as in strange places like the New Forest, where they probably haven't been seen for over 100 years or more. But in this part of Scotland, where there's good habitat, plenty of food for Pine Martens, and much less persecution than there ever used to be, the Pine Martens have made a very good recovery. So now that the population is estimated to be in the region of perhaps 8,000 individuals or more.
Wild pine martens eat a whole range of things, including fruit, insects, birds' eggs, and red squirrels, which they chase through the treetops. Pine martens also frequently use squirrels' drays as their nest sites. Of all the spectacular wildlife Scotland has to offer, surely the prize animal to ever be lucky enough to see in the wild is the pine marten.